rectangle in here. That's 4 units across, and we're only going to use one of them, so this top dimension. Okay, you can access your dimensions from several places on your home ribbon. They do have some of the basic dimensions right here under annotation. This is really kind of stripped down. It doesn't have a lot of them, but it does have the basics if you need something quick. The annotation ribbon really has all of your dimensioning tools on it. So I'm going to go to the annotation ribbon. So when you're looking at your dimensions, you really have these sections right here on this ribbon. So here's your dimensioning ribbon. So here's some basic tools we use all the time. Here's your dim style. This is what controls the look of them. Some tools, and then if you've got a drop down arrow, it has some more tools. These are editing tools. It's got this little sideways arrow on here. What is it? What happens when we got that sideways fly out? We've got it on M-text. We've got it on hatching.
There's more to the ribbon.
Yeah, it's where we control the look of it, right? So that's going to punch us into a dialog box. We'll get there in a second. Here's our center line stuff, and then here's our leader stuff right over here. The leader stuff isn't brought in until chapter 18, so we're going to wait just a little bit on that guy. Now, for this one, right now, you folks, does it say standard up there?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's the style that AutoCAD gives you right out of the box. Okay, what I'd like you to do is to place the dimension. Now, to place a dimension, okay, there's a little button that says linear on it. You see that? Okay, this is a dim lin command. It's right here. Now, if you click on that, it opens the command. And then I'm going to come down and left click and use my snaps, and I'm just going to click on this top here and this corner and drag it up a little bit. Just so I got a little separation. Oh, I'm on the text layer. Let me go back to my dim layer. Okay, has everybody got that placed? Okay. Now, as soon as you place that, something probably happened to your layers, and I don't know if you've seen this before, but I want to make sure you're aware. If you go back to the home ribbon and pull your layers down, do you now have a depth points layer?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Not everybody will get this. I think some people will, some won't. Okay. How many people got the depth points layer? Everybody but Andy? You're special today, Andy. It doesn't always pop up. The depth points layer is like the 0 layer. You cannot delete it. It won't print. It's already set not to print. It's where AutoCAD stores point information. So just ignore it. That's all you got to do. You can't do anything with it. Don't worry. Nothing on it will print. Just ignore it. Okay? So I just wanted you to know that that's going to come up. Andy, yours will come up eventually. Okay? All right, let's go back to the annotate. Now, if you look at this dimension, first thing I'd like you to do is take your left mouse button and click anywhere on it. Don't use a window or anything, just use your pick box. What happens? Okay, yeah, everything gets highlighted. This is a block, folks. AutoCAD puts it in as a block. It's a block created on the 0 layer also. So it's got really a line here, line, line. It's got a P line for an arrowhead here and here, and it's got M-text. And it took all that, blocked it, put it on the 0 layer. So therefore, since it's a block on the 0 layer, it takes on the properties of whatever layer it's on, right? So if you switch this to a layer on OBJ, it's going to change to yellow. It's going to print at 024. Might not be able to read the text anymore because text is going to be 024. But in essence, it's an entire block. This is why I mentioned we really don't want to explode this, because we can edit this right now as a single unit quite easily, as long as we know our variables. So first thing, it's a block. Second thing, is this two standards? So he says no. What's wrong with it? Okay, first off, we're supposed to have 2 decimal places, right? There is not 2, there's 4. Also, what size is the text? Use your distance command and measure the height of the text.
It's like 6 inches instead of 5.
It's 6 inches,
Or it's point.
3/16. So our text right here, this height, is 3/16. What height is our text supposed to be? Okay. What's the length of the arrowhead?
0.18.
It's 3/16 also. Okay. What's the distance from the arrow to the end of the extension line? Okay, 0.18. So again, it's 3/16. It's stuff like this that really convinces me there's not a drafter on the Autodesk. There's not an employee that's in the drafting trades at all at Autodesk. I have no idea why they do this, but they've been doing it all the way through. This thing is not to standards, it's not even close. In fact, everything on it's wrong. I think the only thing that's right is this right here.
The gap.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
gap is a 16th. And that is to ANSI standards, also in essence to ISO standards, right, which are our 2 major bodies for English and metric units. All right, so you learned, we've seen how to place it, we know it's wrong. Let me just real quickly, there's another fast way to apply dimensions that you want to kind of know. This one right here, as you clicked it, we're going to talk about this again tomorrow. It's associative with points because we clicked left here and left here. So it's associated with those points. What it's tying to is features. Okay, when I say associative, this dimension is linked to features. And just to show you what I'm talking about, let me come in here and I'm going to do a move on this line. Nothing's going to happen. Now, if I come and do a move on this line, did I get it? Yes. There. Notice the dimension moved because it's tied to that line. Okay. So it's associative. Now, that was associative basically because I drew this first line, second line, third line. So this point was on top of that point, right? According to AutoCAD. Okay. This point was on top of that one according to AutoCAD. And so it was tying to those. If I move this point, this is going to move with me. Okay. Now that's really kind of tough to know. Do we pay attention to how we draw a rectangle? Really? No, we don't. Okay. There's another way to place dimensions if you have to have an associative, and this is nice in the editing process. It doesn't have to happen, but we do need it at times. And that is, let me just kind of, I'll do an undo and get myself back. Yeah. You, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and delete this dimension that you have. Okay, just grab it, hit delete. Now, when you click into dim linear again, this time you click into the command. Now look down on the command line. What does it have in its little brackets that's the default value? Select objects. Before, we designated where we wanted to go. So if we hit enter here, just hit your space bar. Now just go down and click on your top line anywhere. I'm just going to click right here in the middle and pull my dimension up. So now it is associated with this line only. Okay. So this is how you control that association, is how you place it in the deal. Most times this isn't a huge deal, but as you learn it, you just need to understand how this thing is working. So when you go to edit it, you move a line and one of them moves and then doesn't move the next time, you kind of know what's going on. Did everybody get that to work? Any questions on this?
What were we supposed to do to make it faster?
Okay, click on dim linear and look down on the command line. See where it says select objects? So all we do is hit enter. So right mouse button or the enter key or enter space bar. Now just click on any line. Now it's now tied to this. Okay, and just you don't need to do this, but here I'll just come in here and do a move on this one. No, man, my mouse is slow today. Notice it doesn't move at all. But if I come in and use my grips on this character, okay, yeah, it takes off with it, right? I'm not getting the dimension, I'm moving the line, and it is now going with it because it's tied to that line. It's tied to the geometry. Yes?
So what if you delete the line that it's associated with?
I
Will
can't
it delete
remember.
the dimension?
I can't remember. Let's find out. Delete.
No.
Okay. Line goes, dimension's
What if
still
you
there.
delete the other line?
Now, it's not associated now with anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, now let's handle one other issue. Let's get this thing to standards. So we do this through a process called the dim style dialog box. The author is going to introduce two terms for you. One is a family. Okay? So they're going to use kind of the family unit to give an analogy on how this thing works. When you have a family, generally we have parents and children, right? Okay. We're going to create a parent today, which is a dimension style that is global to all dimensions. Now, you cannot set the standards for all dimensions to be perfect. Therefore, they have what's called children, and I come in and say, well, when I use the diameter dimension, I want this variable to change to this and this one to this. And so it applies to only one command. We'll show you where that's at in just a second. So a parent is the global dim style. The child is how we set variables to work with different commands. Okay. So to figure this out, just leave this dimension on your screen if you would, because we're going to compare it to the one we're going to make. Go up to your annotate dimension ribbon, click that little side arrow, or it's D enter.
Oh, wrong one.
Okay. So let's create a parent. Now you do the parent and children by the parents right here. You're listed. You guys don't have the MEC one. We're getting ready to make it right now. Okay. So you're going to start on the standard. That's the only one you have. Is that correct?
We have annotated.
Yeah.
What's that?
We have an
Annotated.
annotated as well.
Oh, yeah, you do have an annotative, but it's the same as standard, it's just annotative.
Okay.
Dimensions are annotative, by the way, so they will work with that scale down there like text does, and that's a great thing. So make sure standard is blue. If it isn't, click it and hit set current, because we're going to use all of it for its base and then change some of it. We're going to get into this here in probably not tomorrow, but the next day, and we're going to start creating some children, and we use this box down here for children. Okay. So right now, we're going to create and set some variables that work with all objects. Okay. So how we do this is we're going to come over and tell it we want a new one. Okay. Now, if you would, call it MEC1. That's just kind of the standard I use. We're going to set up a mechanical engineering dimension for it. I got to call mine 11. We do have one variable we want to hit right here. This is your dim anno variable to make it annotative. We will see this come up later, so if you don't click it now, you can click it later. But let's go ahead and just check mark that so that it works with our annotation. And then go ahead and hit continue. There's a bunch of tabs here in the dialog style, in the dim style dialog box. You don't have access to all 82 variables. I think you only have access to like 78 of them through here. Okay. But this is where you're going to change most of them. We're going to start with the lines. We'll go through this later on what all these mean. Right now, the dim exe variable, remember we measured the length from the arrow to the end of the extension line? We found it was 3/16. Okay. It's 0.18, right? Set right here. Change that to what it should be, which is an 1/8 inch. Your text walks you through all these, by the way. I think I can't remember, it's either 18 or 19. They start walking you through all these variables. In essence, what you're doing here, here's where you format dimension lines. Those are good. Here's where you format extension lines. is down here. So the only one we have to change here is the dim exe variable, which is that one. Okay, let's go to symbols and arrows. So here's your termination for your dimension lines. If you want to click one of these down, we're going to leave it on closed field, but click one of those down and just look at the options that you have. These are all ANSI approved termination lines. We'll get in and play with this a little because you might notice down at the bottom there's one that says custom. That's kind of a fun one to play with. Now what we do have though, just you can go ahead and, should I give you a second to kind of look at it? You'll see architectural tick on there. Okay. Here's the dim ASZ variable. Remember we measured that arrowhead, it was 3/16 long? We need that to be an 1/8, don't we? Okay, so change that to an 1/8, please. You also have your dimsen variable. This also works with the center mark command. Right now, it is set to 3/30 seconds. I have no idea why that is. What do we set that to? In essence, we set it to a 16th. Okay, so that should be 0.06. Although, I'm not really sure why we need this anymore because this guy is really taken over. Remember, this is only 2 versions old. This version and the one that came out last year. We used to always do center marks through here. That is changing. But let's put 06 because that will work with our dim diameter and dim radius commands. Okay. So you need that to be a 16.
Will you click enter really quick or click somewhere else?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you click somewhere else? Because when I switched it, it changed it to line. Maybe it's just my computer then. Okay.
You might have your units set really small. If you were working metric.
Oh.
Yeah, if this thing comes and says 0.06 and you typed in 0625, 0625 stored there. It's going to be 0625. But if your units are set to 0 decimal places or 2 decimal places, sometimes it'll round you. Okay, remember units are how it displays all this stuff? Yeah. Let's see. That's all we need to change here. So we changed dim arrow size and dim send.
What's the break? Is that off the feature?
Yeah, dim break, remember how we break extension lines around dimension lines?
Mm-hmm.
That one does that for you.
So it gives you clear size.
Yeah, but it's set for an 8, right?
Is that each side or the total?
You're going to find out we don't use this anyway. We use the command, but we don't use this dimension
Okay.
because it doesn't work real well. They haven't figured that one out yet.
Okay.
Let's go to the text ribbon, text tab. You have the dim text style variable right at the start. This is why the text was so high. It's referencing the standard text style. You should have your CSI1 text style here. Now there is a little button right here to the side. See that one with the little three dots in it? That will reference out to the style command. Okay, remember, that's where we created text styles. Okay. You don't need to go there. All you got to do is click the drop-down arrow. It should show you all the text styles. Go ahead and hit CSI1. Now, one caveat with this. Our dimensions are annotative, but we're going to tell it to use this text style. If this text style is not annotative, it can't work. Okay, so you need to make sure whatever text style you have is also annotative. Now we made them annotative when we created them, so yours should be. If you need to check it, okay, how you do it is I'm just going to click on those little 3 things. It bumps me into the style command. I see my CSI1. See that little arrow? It's got my little scale thing that means annotative right next to it. Okay. That means it's annotative. I'm good. If it wasn't, you just click your style to be annotated. Yes, sure.
I only have annotated in standard.
What's that?
I only have annotated in standard.
In your text styles? Then click on that little button and create CSI1 real quick.
What font would you put?
It's simplex.shx. So remember the style command, just click on new, CSI1.
1.25?
Height is 0.125, make it annotative. And your font is simplex.shx.
On size, right there. It's annotated.
That's not open to template. Majid, do you have a question?
No.
Did you start with a template, Sharon? I'm guessing not.
I did start.
Whatever template you started with, you probably want to go back and look at that template because it's missing text style.
Was this the basic when we started?
Oh, yeah, the basic didn't. Okay. All right, let's see.
Did we get them?
Let's see, so now as soon as you click the text style, I don't know if you noticed this, let me get my cursor off of here. As soon as you click the text style, all this stuff went gray.
Yes.
Okay, because the text style is now controlling the height and everything. So you don't have an option of changing any of this. The only other thing we need to do here is down here is our text placement. Remember, we really do two types, unidirectional and aligned. We're going to do unidirectional, but the offset from the dimension line. What they're talking about here is this distance right here. Where does the dimension line go and then your text start? This is the variable that controls that. Should be half your letter height, right? So that would need to be a 16th. So this is your dim gap variable. So that should be a 16th. Over on the right is where you use your unidirectional line. We'll just leave it horizontal because we're doing an engineering dimension style, so we're going to use unidirectional. All my text will read from the bottom of the page. If I was doing architectural, I would click the second one, and it's going to align my dimensions so that they read from the bottom or the right. Okay. So it will do it for you.
Does ISO mix it up?
No, ISO is unidirectional. Metric is unidirectional. Let's go to the fit tab. Any questions before we go?
Wait, did you say ISO standard?
No, I just asked a question.
No, she has asked if the ISO standard,
Can go both
that's
ways.
a unidirectional too.
Oh,
Never
so
used it.
that's the same as horizontal though?
I believe so. I've never used it in the work world. I've kind of played with it a little bit in lectures, but it does a unidirectional. But you'll never mess
Be
with it.
safe, just put horizontal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go to the fit tab, please. This is the one that's going to handle, remember as dimensions got smaller, so we want dimension line text centered, right? And then as they get smaller, we pull out arrowheads, and then the second thing we do is pull out arrowheads and text. That's what this page is about. Okay. So in essence, it's got this stuff up in here. There's no way this thing can project or predict the dimensions we've got. So what we do is we usually click in here the dim TIX variable. It's this one right here that says always keep text between extension lines as it gets smaller. Now this, we just got to know that if I get too small for my text, I've got to go ahead at that dimension. There's just no way you can get this to work right in every case. Okay? And believe me, I've tried. So just check mark dim text. Dim TIX is what this one is. Now as soon as you do that, and we'll come back to the dim AT fit is these four right up here, and those will now be non-usable. The dim text will override it. Next thing, over here, you see your dim anno again? It's underneath my text, but you see the annotation? Okay, we click that on the very first box. If you missed it, then here's another opportunity for it. Let me get my thing. So it should already be check marked if you hit it when we first created this dim style. Okay, make sure it's check marked. That's all we're going to change here. Let's go to primary units. First thing we need to change is dim deck. It's listed here as precision. Now notice it's set to 4 decimal places. That's where that 4 decimal places on that dimension, I can't see it, was back here. Okay, set yours to an English, so 2 significant figures. Now let me make one thing clear, folks. We've got an area that's decimal that we left alone and 2 decimal places. This is not the same as a units command. Units have nothing to do with dimensions. Units controls this drawing and how it reports information to you. The dimensions are totally separate. I can have decimal out here, and I can switch this to architectural, and it's going to give me fraction inches with foot inch marks. They are totally separate components. Don't confuse the two. Okay. So this only applies to dimensions. So we've got that. The dim round off, you may want to match up with it, but you don't need it. It's just going to round to 0 right now. We go plus or minus 0.02. Sometimes we tell you, hey, go 0.05, whatever. It would round any dimension to that. I just leave mine on 0, okay, for now. The last one you need to change dims in down here. And you'll have to change this constantly depending on if you are English or metric. English unit has no leading zeros. So we check on that. The dims in basically suppresses these zeros. When you go